Rusty the King for my second YouTube channel. We're doing a live stream today. I was trying to decide what to do today and what to talk about, but let me start off with a story about what happened at work today. Um, my job has vending machines in the break room. Basically, sometimes I don't know if they overstuff the machines when it comes to like food and drinks. Sometimes you'll order one thing, and sometimes you'll get multiple shit coming out the vending machine. Well, today I don't particularly like Coke, like the soda Coke. So I ended up, because the Pepsi machine was out. I went to the Coke machine to get a bottle of Coke, and Coke is like I'll drink Coke as a last resort, but I don't care for it. And I only purchased one Coke, but somehow the machine shut out four, so I ended up getting one bottle that I paid for and three bottles additionally on top of the only one that I paid for. So I got three bottles of Coke for free, while I only paid for one, so I ended up getting four bottles of Coke. I'm like, well, I took two and gave the other two to my coworker Quincy, and Quincy says, I'll take the other two if you don't want them. So I gave it to him. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna drink all four, and because Coke I don't really care for, I barely do two of them, let alone three or four. But wow, I'm like I got lucky there. I'm like that's not something that's the first time that happened to me. Most times I usually get two bottles. Once I got three, but four was the first time I ever had that happen. So today we're going to talk about Zeus. Zeus is a Greek god. One of my favorite gods of all time. One of my favorite one of my most favorite Greek mythical gods. Um, I'm also doing this in the middle of watching The Walking Dead. Not Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. I just started season 3. I'll bet I'm on like the second episode of season 3, and I think there was only like 8 seasons. But anyway, so we're on Zeus. Zeus is known in ancient Greek as the sky and thunder god in ancient Greek religion and mythology, and he's the ruler of the gods on Mount Olympus. Um, now Zeus is the child of Kronos and Rhea, the youngest of his siblings to be born, although he's reckoned to be the oldest, as the others required disgorging from Kronos' stomach. Now, in most traditions, he is married to Hera, by whom he is usually said to have fathered Ares, Eileithyia, Hebe, and Hephaestus. At the Oracle of Dodona, his consort was said to be Dion, by whom the Iliad states that he fathered Aphrodite. According to the Theogony, Zeus's first wife was Metis, by whom he had Athena. Zeus was also infamous for his erotic escapades because it's known that he had a lot of I have dentures, but don't like wearing them. They don't feel comfortable. These resulted in many divine and heroic offspring, including Apollo, Artemis, Hermes, Persephone, Dionysus, Perseus, Heracles, Helen of Troy, Minos, and the Muses. Now Zeus was respected as a sky father who was chief of all the gods, and he assigned roles to others. Even the gods who are not his natural children address him as father, and all the gods stand up on his presence. This is Zeus. If you don't know who Zeus is a Greek mythical god. Now he was respected as a sky father who was chief of the gods. And like I said, he would assign roles to others. Even the gods who are not his natural children address him as father. And all the gods stand up in his presence. So he was equated with many foreign weather gods, permitting the Pausanians to observe that Zeus is king in heaven, as a saying common to all men. Now Zeus's symbols are the thunderbolt, eagle, bull, and oak. In addition to his Indo-European inheritance, the classical cloud gatherer, which is a Greek saying, also derives a certain iconographic trait from the cultures of others, of the ancient Near East, such as the scepter. The god's name in the nominative is Zuk, and it's inflected as follows, and it's like Zoo, like Zeu, and then you got Dia, Dios, and D. Um, now a quote. Now, um, Diogenes Laertius quotes the Pherecydes of Sorrows as spelling the name Zach, like Z-A-C. And the earliest attested forms of the name are Messenian Greek, and it's written in the Linear B syllabic script. Now, let's go here. Now, Zeus is the Greek continuation of Dias, name of the Proto-Indo-European god of the daytime sky, also known as Sky Father. The god is known under the name in the Rigveda, which is Sanskrit. In Latin, compared Jupiter from Lupertor, deriving from the Proto-Indo-European vocative, deriving from the root diu, to shine, in its many. I am reading Zeus. I'm reading about Zeus. Zeus is my favorite Greek god, because he's like the god of thunder and lightning, and he's one of my favorites. Also, when it comes to Zeus, he had a couple brothers. He had Poseidon and Hades. Hades is equivalent to Satan in the Bible. Like, he has all the same powers as Satan. Poseidon is the god of the sea. And that's also pretty cool too. Like, he was able to like do all this. True. I might get to Dionysus in the next week or so. But like I said, there's a lot of Greek gods to go through. Zeus is just one of them I'm starting with. So when it comes to and you are welcome, High Energy Ape. Thanks for subbing. Yeah, this is my second live stream this week. I also do live streams on UPS videos, because I also work for UPS. But that's on a different channel though, because I have two. This is one of the channels, and then I have RBW King as my other one, but I do a lot of UPS videos on those. Lately, that's what I've been doing. So when it gets back to Zeus here, so the root. Now, I'm not sure if I'm saying these right because I'm not very good at saying foreign words. So Diu means to shine. It's D-Y-E-U. It means to shine, and then its many derivatives: sky, heaven, and God. In Albanian, Zaji and Mesopaic Zis are clear equivalents and cognates of Zeus. Now, in the Greek, Albanian, and Mesopaic forms, the original cluster Di underwent application to DZ, and Zeus is the only deity in the Olympic pantheon whose name has such a transparent Indo-European etymology. Now, Plato in his Cratylus gives a folk etymology of Zeus' meaning cause of life, always to all things. And because of puns between alternate titles of Zeus, Zen, and Dia, with the Greek words for life, and because of this etymology along. There's nothing dirty about my channels, anyway. With the Greek words for life, and because of this etymology, along with Plato's entire method of deriving etymologies, is not supported by modern scholarship. Now, Diodorus Siculus wrote that Zeus was also called Zen, and because the humans believed that he was the cause of life, meaning Zen, and while Lactantius wrote that he was called Zeus and Zen, not because he was the giver of life, but because he was the first who lived of all the children of Kronos. Now, Kronos is a titan, according to what I've read online. Now, Zeus was called by numerous alternative names or surnames known as epithets. Some epithets are the surviving names of local gods who were consolidated into the myth of Zeus. Um, in Hesiod's theogony, Kronos, after castrating his father Uranus, becomes the supreme ruler of the cosmos, and he marries his sister Rhea, by whom he begets 3 daughters and 3 sons. The 3 sons and daughters he had were Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and lastly, the wise Zeus, the youngest of the 6. Now, it's rumored that that after hearing a prophecy about one of his kids was going to overthrow him, Zeus, Kronos eats all his kids, like he swallows all his kids, and then they had to be disgorged because he did that. So he swallows each child as soon as they were born. After a prophecy was told to him that one of his own children was destined to overthrow him, as he overthrew his father. Now this causes Rhea unceasing grief, and upon becoming pregnant with her 6th child, Zeus, she approaches her parents, Gaia and Uranus, seeking a plan to save her child and bring retribution to Kronos. Now, following her parents' instructions, she travels to Lyctus in Crete, where she gives birth to Zeus. Now, handing the newborn child over to Gaia for her to raise, and Gaia takes him to a cave on Mount Aegean. Rhea then gives to Kronos, in the place of a child, a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, which he promptly swallows, unaware that it is not his kid. Now, while Hesiod gives Lyctus as Zeus's birthplace, he's the only source to do so. And other authors give different locations. The poet Eumelos of Corinth, according to John the Lydian, considered Zeus to have been born in Lydia, while the Alexandrian poet Callimachus basically gives Zeus's birthplace as Arcadia. Diodorus Siculus seems at one point to give Mount Ida as his birthplace, but later states that he was born in Dicte, and the mythographer Apollodorus similarly states that also that Zeus was born in Dicte. While the Theogony says nothing of Zeus's upbringing other than that he grew up swiftly, other sources provide more detailed accounts. According to Apollodorus, Rhea, after giving birth to Zeus in a cave in Dicte, gives him to the nymphs Ida and yeah, I've never been big into Mountain Dew. I'm more of a Pepsi or the A&W root beer, or also mug. Aestra and so basically Rhea gives Zeus gives birth to Zeus in the cave in Dicte, according to what some people say, and she gives him to the nymphs Adrastia and Ida, and daughters of Melissus, to nurse. They feed him on the milk of the she goat Almathea, while the Curetes guard the cave and beat their spears on their shields so that Kronos cannot hear the infant's cry. Now, Diodorus Siculus provides a similar account, saying that after giving birth, Rhea travels to Mount Ida and gives the newborn Zeus to the Curetes, who then take him to some nymphs who are not named, but they raise him on a mixture of honey and milk from the goat Almathea. And he also refers to the Curetes raising as a great alarm. And in doing so, they deceive Kronos, and it relates that when the Curetes were carrying the newborn Zeus, that the umbilical cord fell away at the river Triton. Hyginus, the author of the Fabulae, relates a version in which Kronos casts Poseidon into the sea and Hades into the underworld instead of swallowing them. But when Zeus was born, Hera, also not swallowed, asked Rhea to give her the youngest Zeus, and Rhea gives Kronos a stone to swallow. Now Hera supposedly gives Zeus to Almathea, who hangs his cradle from a tree where he is not in heaven, on earth, or in the sea, but meaning that when Kronos later goes looking for Zeus, he's not able to find him. Now, Hyginus also says that Ida, Althea, and Adrastia, usually considered the children of Oceanus, are sometimes called the daughters of Melissus and the nurses of Zeus. Um, yep. Now, according to a fragment of Epimenides, the nymphs Halik and Kinosora are the youngest are the young Zeus's nurses. Now, Kronos travels to Crete to look for Zeus, but who to conceal his presence transforms himself into a snake and his two nurses into bears. Now, according to Musaeus, after Zeus is born, Rhea gives him to Themis. Now, Themis in turn gives him to Amalthea, who owns a she-goat which nurses the young Zeus. Now, Antonius, in his metamorphosis, says that Rhea gives birth to Zeus in a sacred cave in Crete, full of sacred bees, which become the nurses of the infant. While the cave is considered forbidden ground for both mortals and gods, a group of thieves seek to steal the honey from it. Upon laying eyes on the swaddling clothes of Zeus, their bronze armor splits away from their bodies, and Zeus would have killed them had it not been for the intervention of the Morai and Themis. He instead transforms them into various species of birds. Supposedly, if you go to like Greece, they have all these like mythical statues of like all the Greek gods. There's a statue of Zeus sitting down on his throne. There's also supposed to be like a staff that he has called a scepter. I have not seen that one yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll find it. So that is a statue of Zeus that actually was carved. Now, according to the Theogony, after Zeus reaches manhood, Cronus is made to disgorge the 5 children in the stone by the stratagems of Gaia, but also by the skills and strength of Zeus, presumably in reverse order. Now, Cronus will vomit up the stone first, then each of the 5 children in the opposite order to swallowing. Zeus then sets up the stone at Delphi so that it may act as a sign, thenceforth and a marvel to mortal men. Now, Zeus next frees the Cyclops, who in return, out of gratitude, give him his thunderbolts, which had previously been hidden by Gaia. Then begins the Titan Amaki, which is the war between the Olympians led by Zeus and the Titans led by Kronos for control of the universe. Now, Zeus and the Olympians fighting from Mount Olympus and the Titans fighting from Mount Orthrus. Now, the battle lasts for 10 years, with no clear victor emerging until upon Gaia's advice. God, that sounds like the Trojan War. The Trojan War lasted for 10 years. That's another story I want to do too, eventually down the line. Now, the battle lasts for 10 years, with no clear victor emerging until upon Gaia's advice, Zeus releases the hundred handlers, who similarly to the Cyclops were imprisoned beneath the Earth's surface. Now, Zeus gives them nectar and ambrosia, and he revives their spirits, and they agree to aid him in the war. Now, Zeus then launches his final attack on the Titans, hurling bolts of lightning upon them, while the 100 handlers attack with barrages of rocks, and the Titans are finally defeated, with Zeus banishing them to Tartarus and assigning the 100 handlers the task of acting as their warders. Apollodorus provides a similar account, saying that when Zeus reached adulthood, he enlists the help of the Oceanid Metis, who gives Kronos an emetic, forcing him to disgorge the stone and Zeus's 5 siblings. Zeus then, so basically, the Oceanid Metis gives Kronos something called an emetic. I'm not sure if I'm saying that wrong, right? And forcing him to disgorge the stone and Zeus' 5 siblings. Zeus then fights a similar 10-year war against the Titans, until upon the prophesizing of Gaia, he releases the Cyclops and the 100 handlers from Tartarus, first slaying their warder, Campi. The Cyclops give him his thunderbolt, Poseidon his trident, and Hades his helmet of invisibility. and the Titans are defeated, and the 100 handlers made as the guards. Um, Now, according to the Iliad, after the battle with the Titans, Zeus shares the word with his brothers Poseidon and Hades by drawing lots. Um, Now, hold on here. Now Zeus inherits the sky, Poseidon inherits the sea, and Hades inherits the underworld, with the earth and Olympus remaining common ground where anybody can go and come as they please. Um, Now this is actually in a museum in Berlin, Germany. Um, that's a statue of Zeus, and it's his battle against Peripherion, and that's actually a battle that they actually had. I would love to see that, and if they still have it in Berlin, Germany. Um, but yeah, that's pretty fucking amazing. Um, um, Upon assuming his place as king of the cosmos, Zeus's role is quickly challenged. The first of these challenges to his power comes from the giants who fight the Olympian gods in a battle known as the gi- gi- gigant gi- gigantometry or amaki, or whatever you want to fucking call it. According to Hesiod, the giants are the offspring of Gaia, and they were born from the drops of blood that fell on the ground when Kronos castrated his father Uranus. Now there is, however, no mention of a battle between the gods and the giants in the Theogony, but it's Apollodorus who provides the most complete account of that. He says that Gaia, out of anger at how Zeus had imprisoned her children, the Titans, before the giants to Uranus, there comes to the gods a prophecy that the giants cannot be defeated by the gods on their own ground, but can be defeated only with the help of a mortal. And Gaia, upon hearing of this, seeks a special herb that will prevent the giants from being killed. Now Zeus, however, orders um, Eos, Dawn, Selene, Moon, and Helios, Sun, to stop shining and harvests all of the herb himself before having Athena summon Heracles. Um, Heracles also gets mistaken a lot for Hercules. Um, but Heracles was known for the 12 labors. I would like to do a video on him too eventually down the line. Now in the conflict, Porphyrion, one of the most powerful of the giants, launches an attack upon Heracles and Hera, but Zeus, however, causes Porphyrion, or whatever you want to fucking say his name, to become lustful for Hera, and when he is just about to violate her, Zeus strikes him with a thunderbolt before Heracles deals the fatal blow with an arrow. Now, in the Theogony, after Zeus defeats Titans and banishes them to Tartarus, his role is changed by the monster Typhon, a giant serpentine creature who battles Zeus for control of the cosmos. According to Hesiod, Typhon is the offspring of Gaia and Tartarus, and described as having 100 snake fire-breathing heads. Now, if you don't know, Typhon is the parent to Cerberus. Cerberus was Typhon's kid. Now Hesiod says that he would have come to reign over mortals and immortals had it not been for Zeus noticing the monster and dispatching with him quickly. Now the two of them meet in a cataclysmic battle before Zeus defeats him easily with a thunderbolt. And the creature is hurled down to Tartarus. Now, Epimendius, now let's see here. Now, Epimetheus presents a different version in which Typhon makes his way into Zeus's palace while he is sleeping, only for Zeus to wake up and kill the monster with a thunderbolt. Um, Now, Aeschylus and Pindar give somewhat similar accounts to Hesiod, and the fact that Zeus overcomes Typhon with relative ease, defeating him with his and defeating him with his thunderbolt. Apollodorus, in contrast, provides a more complex narrative. Typhon is similarly to in Hesiod the child of Gaia and Tartarus, and produced out of anger at Zeus' defeat of the giants. Now the monster attacks heaven and all the gods out of fear and transforms into animals and he flees to Egypt, except for Zeus, who attacks the monster with his thunderbolt and a sickle. Now Typhon is wounded and retreats to Mount Cassios in Syria, where Zeus grapples with him, giving the monster a chance to wrap him in his coils and rip out the sinews from his hands and feet. Disabled, Zeus is taken by Typhon to a cave in Sicilia, where he was guarded by the she-dragon Delphine, and Hermes in Age of Hand, however, still backs Zeus' sinews and refit them, reviving him and allowing him to return to the battle, pursuing Typhon, who flees to Mount Nysa. There, Typhon is given ephemeral fruits by the Morai, which reduce his strength, but the monster then flees to Thrace, where he hurls mountains at Zeus, which are sent back at him by the god's thunderbolts before, and while fleeing to Sicily, Zeus launches Mount Etna upon him, finally ending him. Now Nonnus, who gives the longest and most detailed account, presents a narrative similar to Apollodorus. Now, with differences such as that, it is instead Cadmus and Pan who recover Zeus' sinews by luring Typhon with music and then tricking him. Now, in the Iliad, Homer tells of another attempted overthrow in which Hera, Poseidon, and Athena conspired to overpower Zeus and tie him in bonds. It is only because of Thetis, who summons Briareos, one of the Hecatonautries to Olympus, that the other Olympians abandoned their plans out of fear. This I don't know if this is true or not. Now, according to legend, Zeus had 7 wives. I don't know if he was married to them all at one time. Wouldn't surprise me if they were, because it's Greek mythology. More than likely, it could have had more than just one wife. So that's why it's noted that Zeus had a lot of erotic escapades, and that's what he was known for. So, according to Hesiod, Zeus takes Metis, who's an Oceanid, and she was the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys, as his first wife. However, when she is about to give birth to their daughter Athena, he swallows her whole upon the advice of Gaia and Uranus, as they had been foretold that after bearing a daughter, she would give birth to a son who would overthrow him as the king of gods and mortals. It is from this position that Metis gives counsel to Zeus. In time, Athena is born emerging from Zeus's head, but the foretold son never comes forth. Apollodorus presents a similar version, stating that Metis took many forms in attempting to avoid Zeus's embraces, and that it was Gaia alone who warned Zeus of the son who would overthrow him. According to a fragment likely from the Hesiodic corpus, quoted by a couple of different people, it is out of anger at Hera for producing Hephaestus on her own that Zeus has intercourse with Metis, and then swallows her, thereby giving rise to Athena from himself. Now, Aeschylus on the Iliad, in contrast, states that when Zeus swallows her, Metis is pregnant with Athena, not by Zeus himself, but by the Cyclops Brontes. Now, the motive of Zeus swallowing Metis can be seen as a continuation of the succession myth. It is prophesied that a son of Zeus will overthrow him, just as he overthrew his father, but whereas Kronos met his end because he did not swallow the real Zeus, Zeus holds on to his power because he successfully swallows the threat in the form of the potential mother, and so the cycle of displacement is brought to an end. In addition, the myth can be seen as an allegory for Zeus gaining the wisdom of Metis for himself by swallowing her. But in Hesiod's account, Zeus' second wife is Themis, one of the Titan daughters of Uranus and Gaia, with whom he has the Horai listed as Eunomia, Dike, and Irene, and the three Morai, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropis. A fragment from Pindar calls Themis Zeus' first wife, and states that she is brought by the Morai in this version, not her daughters, but up to Olympus, where she becomes the bride of Zeus and bears him the Horai. Now, according to Hesiod, Zeus next marries the Oceanid Eurynomi, with whom he has the three charades, namely Aglaea, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. Now Zeus' fourth wife is his sister Demeter, with whom he has Persephone. Now Zeus' next consort is the Titan. Zeus' next consort is the Titan Mnemosyne. I'm not sure if I'm saying that one right. As described at the beginning of the Theogony. Now Zeus Zeus sleeps with Mnemosyne and Pyra each night for 9 nights, and which produces 9 muses. 9 muses, basically. That's why they call them the muses, because there was 9 of them. His sixth wife is the Titan Leto, who bears him the twins Apollo and Artemis, who, according to the Homeric hymn to Apollo, are born on the island of Delos. In Hesiod's account, Zeus' seventh and final wife is his sister Hera. I think that's even I don't want to get political, but obviously there's a lot of inbreeding in the Bible. Just like with Greek mythology, there's a lot of inbreeding. Basically, when it comes to like Zeus marrying his wives, like with the wives, 2 of them are his wife. That's pretty fucking disgusting if you ask me, to be married, basically marrying your sister anyway and stuff like that. Now, while Hera is Zeus' 7th wife in Hesiod's version, in other accounts, she is his first and only wife. On numerous accounts, that's how they describe it. Now, in the Theogony, the couple have 3 children, Ares, Hebe, and Aletheia, while Hesiod states that Hera produces Hephaestus on her own after Athena is born from Zeus' head. Now, other versions, including Homer, have Hephaestus as a child of Zeus, and Hera as well. Now, various authors give descriptions of a youthful affair between Zeus and Hera. In the Iliad, the pair are described as having first lay with each other before Cronus is sent to Tartarus without the knowledge of their parents. Now Aeschylus on the Iliad states that after Cronus is banished to Tartarus, Oceanus and Tethys give Hera to Zeus in marriage, and only shortly after the two are wed, Hera gives birth to Hephaestus, having lay secretly with Zeus on the island of Samos beforehand. To conceal this act, she claimed that she had produced Hephaestus on her own. According to another Aeschylus on the Iliad, Callimachus in his Atia says that Zeus lay with Hera for 300 years on the island of Samos. That's another thing about the gods, is that they're kind of immortal. They're kind of like eternal, meaning they can live forever and they can't really die. That's the one thing about gods. According to a scholar on the Theocritus, Italus, Zeus, one day seeing Hera walking apart from the other gods, becomes intent on having intercourse with her and transforms him into a bird, landing on Mount Thornax. He creates a terrible storm, and when Hera arrives at the mountain and sees the bird, which sits on her lap, she takes pity on it, laying her cloak over it, and then Zeus transforms back into himself and he takes hold of her. When she refuses to have intercourse with him because of their mother, he promises that she will become his wife. Now, the Pausanians similarly refers to Zeus transforming himself into a bird to woo Hera, and identifies the location as Mount Thornax. Now, according to a version from Plutarch, as recorded, Hera is raised by a nymph named Macris. On the island of Aboa, when Zeus kidnaps her, and he takes her to Mount Cithaeron, where they find a shady hollow, which serves as a natural bridal chamber. When Macris comes to look for Hera, Cithaeron, the tutelary deity of the mountain, stops her, saying that Zeus is sleeping there with Leto. Now, Photius, in his Bibliotheca, tells us that in Ptolemy's Hephaestion's New History, Hera refuses to sleep with Zeus, and she hides in a cave to avoid him before an earthborn man named Achilles convinces her to marry him, to marry Zeus. Achilles is also one of my favorite Greek mythical soldiers, and I will do a video on him eventually down the line. Now, basically, Achilles will convince Hera to marry Zeus, leading to the pair first sleeping with each other. According to Stephanus of Byzantium, Zeus and Hera first lay together at the city of Hermione, having come there from Crete. Callimachus, in a fragment from his Atia, also apparently makes reference to the couple's union occurring at Naxos. Though no complete account of Zeus and Hera's wedding exists, but various authors make references to it. According to Aeschylus on Apollonius of Rhodes' Argonautica, it states that when Zeus and Hera are being married, Gaia brings a tree which produces golden apples as a wedding gift. Now, Hyginus attributes a similar story in which Hera is amazed by the gift and asks for the apples to be planted in the Garden of the Gods, nearby to Mount Atlas. Now, Apollodorus specifies them as the golden apples of the Hesperides, and says that Gaia gives them to Zeus after his marriage. According to Diodorus Siculus, the location of the marriage is in the land of the Nausicans, nearby to the river Theron. While Lactanius attributes to Varro the statement that the couple are married on the island of Samos. Now, there exist several stories when it comes to Zeus receiving advice and is able to reconcile with an angered Hera. Now, according to the Bosnians, Hera, angry with her husband, retreats to the island of Eboa, where she was raised, and Zeus, unable to resolve the situation, seeks the advice of Cithaeron, ruler of the Plataea, supposedly the most intelligent man on Earth. Now, Cithaeron instructs him to fashion a wooden statue and dress it as a bride, and then pretend that he is marrying one, a daughter of Aesculapius. When Hera hears of this, she immediately rushes there, only to discover the ruse upon ripping away the bridal clothing. She was so relieved that the couple are reconciled. But according to a version from Plutarch, as recorded, when Hera is angry with her husband, she retreats instead to Cithaeron, and Zeus goes to the earthborn man, Comenius, who suggests he pretend to marry someone else, but with the help of him, Zeus creates a wooden statue from an oak tree, dresses it as his bride, and names it Didael. When it comes to when preparations are being made for the wedding, Hera rushes down from Cithaeron, followed by the woman of Plataea, and upon discovering the trick, the couple reconcile again, with the matter ending in joy and laughter among all that are involved. After Zeus marries his wife Hera, different authors describe Zeus's numerous affairs with various mortal women. In many of these affairs, Zeus transforms himself into an animal and someone else or some other form. According to a scholar on the Iliad, citing Hesiod and Bacchylides, when Europa is picking flowers with her female companions in the meadow in Phoenicia, Zeus transforms himself into a bull, lowers her from the others, and then carries her across the sea to the island of Crete, where he plans to sleep with her. Where he transforms into his usual form to sleep with her. Now in Euripides' Helen, Zeus takes the form of a swan, and after being chased by an eagle, he finds shelter in the lap of Leda, where he subsequently seduces her. Now, while in Euripides' lost play Antiope, Zeus apparently took the form of a satyr to sleep with Antiope. Various authors speak of Zeus raping Callisto, one of the companions of Artemis, doing so in the form of Artemis himself, according to Ovid, or as mentioned by Apollodorus in the form of Apollo. Um, um, and relates that Zeus sleeps with Alcmene, the wife of Amphitryon, in the form of her own husband. Several accounts state that Zeus approached the Argive princess Danae in the form of a shower of gold, and according to Ovid, he abducts Aegina in the form of a flame. The one thing about gods is that they can transform themselves into anything that they want. Now, the accounts of Zeus's affairs, Hera is often depicted and works as a jealous wife. With there being various stories of her persecuting either the women with whom Zeus sleeps with, or their children by him. Several authors relate that Zeus sleeps with Blo, a priestess of Hera, who is subsequently turned into a cow and suffers at Hera's hands. According to Apollodorus, the Hera sends a gadfly to sting the cow, driving her all the way to Egypt. Now, where she is finally transformed back into human form. But in later accounts of Zeus's affair with Semele, who is a daughter of Cadmus and Harmonia, Hera tricks her into persuading Zeus to grant her any promise. Now, Semele asks him to come to her as he comes to his own wife Hera, and when Zeus upholds his promise, she dies out of fright and is reduced to ashes. According to Callimachus, after Zeus sleeps with Callisto, Hera turns her into a bear and instructs Artemis to shoot her. In addition, Zeus's son by Alcmene, the hero Heracles, is persecuted continuously throughout his mortal life by Hera up until his apotheosis. Now, according to Diodorus Siculus, Alcmene, the mother of Heracles, was the very last mortal woman that Zeus ever slept with, but following the birth of Heracles, he ceased to beget any humans altogether, and he fathered no more children. Now, these are the disguises that Zeus would use to try to seduce women. He would use the eagle, flame of fire. He took on the form of Amphitryon, which was actually another god. I'm not sure what he was the god of. A satyr. He also took on two other god forms, Artemis or Apollo. A shower of gold, bull, eagle, a bull, eagle, some type of bird, a swan or a goose. The following, now when it comes to offspring, Zeus had many offsprings. The following is a list of Zeus's offsprings by various mothers. Besides each offspring, the earliest source to record the parentage is given, along with the century to which the source dates, possibly. Now, the first one is Prometheus. Now, Prometheus is a Cyclops. Now, when the gods met at Macon to discuss which portions they will receive after sacrifice, the Titan Prometheus decided to trick Zeus so that humans received the better portions. He sacrificed a large ox and divided it into two piles. In one pile, he put or was it Polyphemus? Polyphemus. I think it's Polyphemus. It's that's Cyclops, not Prometheus. I have to look and see. And they divided it into two piles. In one pile, he put all the meat and most of the fat, covering it with the ox's grotesque stomach, while on the other pile, he dressed up as the bones with fat. Prometheus then invited Zeus to choose. Zeus would choose the pile of bones, and this set a precedent for sacrifices where humans would keep the fat for themselves, and they would burn the bones for the gods. Now Zeus would become enraged at Prometheus's deception, and he prohibited the use of fire by humans. Now Prometheus, however, stole fire from Olympus in a fennel stalk and gave it to humans, and this would further enrage Zeus. Zeus would then punish Prometheus by binding him to a cliff where an eagle constantly ate Prometheus's liver, which generated every night. Prometheus was eventually freed from his misery by Heracles. Now Zeus, who's angry at humans, decides to give humanity a punishing gift to compensate for the boon that they had been given. He commands Hephaestus to mold from Earth the first woman, a beautiful evil, whose descendants would torment the human race. After Hephaestus does so, several other gods contribute to her creation, and Hermes names the woman Pandora. And now, if you ever heard of Pandora's box, that's an old saying. Now, Pandora was given in marriage to Prometheus' brother Epimetheus. Zeus gave her a jar, which contained many evils. Now, Pandora would open the jar and release all the evils, which made mankind miserable. Only hope remained inside the jar. Now, when Zeus was atop Mount Olympus, he was appalled by human sacrifices and other signs of human decadence. He decided to wipe out mankind and flooded the world with the help of his brother Poseidon. After the flood, only Pyrrha and Deucalion remained. Now, this flood narrative is a common motive in mythology. Now, the Iliad is an ancient Greek epic poem attributed to Homer about the Trojan War and the battle over the city of Troy, in which Zeus plays a major part. In the book, there are scenes where Zeus appears Now, Book 2, Zeus sends Agamemnon a dream and is able to partially control his decision because of the effects of the dream. Book 4, Zeus promises Hera to ultimately destroy the city of Troy at the end of the war. Book 7, Zeus and Poseidon ruin the Achaeans' fortress. Book 8, Zeus prohibits the other gods from fighting each other and has to return to Mount Ida, where he can overthink his decision that the Greeks will lose the war. Book 14, Zeus is seduced by Hera and becomes distracted while she helps out the Greeks. Book 15, Zeus wakes up and realizes that his own brother Poseidon has been aiding the Greeks while also sending Hector and Apollo to help fight the Trojans, ensuring that the city of Troy will fall. Book 16, Zeus is upset that he cannot help save Sarpedon's life because it would then contradict his previous decision. Book 17, Zeus is emotionally hurt by the fate of Hector. Hector in the Trojan War was killed by Achilles after Hector killed Achilles' cousin by accident. Book 20, Zeus lets the other gods lend aid to their respective sides in the war. Book 24, Zeus demands that Achilles releases the corpse of Hector to be buried honorably. Now, in other myths, when Hades went to Zeus, he requested to marry Zeus's daughter Persephone. Zeus approved and advised Hades to abduct Persephone, as her mother Demeter would not allow her to marry Hades. In the Orphic Rhapsodic Theogony, Zeus wanted to marry his mother Rhea. But after Rhea refused to marry him, Zeus turned into a snake and raped her. Now Rhea became pregnant and gave birth to Persephone. Zeus in the form of a snake would mate with his daughter Persephone, which resulted in the birth of Dionysus. Now Zeus granted granted a prayer that her he granted Calero's prayer that her sons by Arcanan and Amphoterus grow quickly so that they might be able to avenge the death of their father by the hands of Phaeacius and his two sons. Now both Zeus and Poseidon tried to woo Thetis, daughter of Nereus, I'm not sure if I'm saying all these right, but when Themis, or Prometheus, prophesied that the son born of Thetis would be mightier than his father, Thetis was married off to the mortal Peleus, which happened to be, um, and Peleus happened to be Achilles' father. Now Zeus was afraid that his grandson Asclepius would teach resurrection to humans, so he killed Asclepius with his thunderbolts. Now this angered Asclepius' father Apollo, um, who in turn killed the Cyclops, who had fashioned the thunderbolts for Zeus. Angered at this, Zeus would have imprisoned Apollo in Tartarus, but however, at the request of Apollo's mother Leto, Zeus instead ordered Apollo to serve as a slave to King Adam, Ambitus of Pherae for a year. Now, according to Diodorus Siculus, Zeus killed Asclepius because of a complaint from Hades, who was worried that the number of people in the underworld was diminishing because of Asclepius' resurrections. Now, the winged horse Pegasus would carry the thunderbolts for Zeus. Now Zeus took pity on Ixion, a man who was guilty of murdering his father-in-law, by purifying him and bringing him to Olympus. Um, Now Zeus would take now, however, Ixion would start to have sexual feelings for Hera. Now Hera complained about this to her husband, but Zeus decided to test him. Zeus fashioned a cloud that resembles Hera, and laid the cloud Hera in Ixion's bed. Ixion coupled with the Nephilim resulted in the birth of Centaurs. Now Zeus punished Ixion for lusting after Hera by tying him to a wheel that spins forever. Now once Helios, the sun god, gave his chariot to his inexperienced son Pantheon to drive. Pantheon could not control his father's deed, so he ended up taking the chariot too high, freezing the earth, or too low, burning everything into the ground. Now the earth itself prayed to Zeus, and in order to prevent further disaster, Zeus hurled a thunderbolt at Pantheon, killing him and saving the world from further harm. And in a satirical work, Dialogues of the Gods by Lucian, Zeus berates Helios for allowing such things to happen. He returns the damaged chariot to him and warns him that if he dares do that again, he will strike him with one of his thunderbolts. Now Zeus would play a dominant role in presiding over the Greek Olympian pantheon. He fathered many of the heroes and was featured in many of their local cults. Though the Homeric cloud collector was the god of the sky and thunder, like the Near Eastern counterparts, he was also the supreme cultural artifact in some senses. He was the embodiment of Greek religious beliefs and the archetypal Greek deity. Popular conceptions of Zeus differed widely from place to place. Local varieties of Zeus often have little in common with each other except the name, but they exercise different areas of authority and were worshipped in different ways. For example, some local cults conceived of Zeus as an earth god rather than a god of the sky. Now these local divinities were gradually consolidated by a conquest and religious syncretism. Now, with the Homeric conception of Zeus, local or idiosyncratic versions of Zeus were given epithets, surnames, or titles which distinguish different conceptions of the god. Now, these epithets or titles applied to Zeus emphasized different aspects of his wide range of authority. Zeus um, Agaductus or Agio Agios, which usually means the bearer of the Aegeus, the divine shield with the head of Medusa across it. Although others derive it from goat, in reference to Zeus's nurse, the divine goat Almathea. Um, Zeus Zeus Agorius. Zeus is a patron of the marketplace Agora and punisher of dishonest traders. Zeus Arius, warlike or the atoning one. Zeus Eleutherius. Zeus, the freedom giver, or a cult worshipped in Athens. Zeus Horcius. Zeus is the keeper of oath. He exposed liars were made to dedicate a votive statue to Zeus, often at the sanctuary at Olympia. Zeus Olympios. Zeus is the king of the gods and patron of the Pan-Hellenic games at Olympia. Zeus Pan-Hellenios, Zeus of all the Greeks, worshipped at Acus's temple in Aegina. Zeus Zenios, Zeus as the patron of hospitality and guest, avenger of wrongs done to strangers. Pan-Hellenic cults, the major center where all the Greeks converged to pay honor to their chief god was Olympia. Now the quadrennial festival featured the famous games. Now there was also an altar to Zeus, made not of stone but of ash from the accumulated remains of many centuries worth of animals that were sacrificed there. Now here's what's supposed to be a bust of Zeus, and then underneath, I said the top would be a bust of Zeus's head and body, at least partially. And here's a marble eagle that's from the sanctuary of Zeus's Hephaestus, and it's in a museum in Dion. Like I said, I don't know what all that means there. Outside of the major interpolar sanctuaries, there was no modes of worshiping Zeus precisely shared across the Greek world, but most of the titles listed below, for instance, could be found at any number of Greek temples from Asia Minor to Sicily. Certain modes of ritual were held in common as well, sacrificing a white animal over a raised altar, for instance. That's another thing, is that they were known that a lot, like when it comes to the gods, they were known for worshiping a whole bunch of different sacrifices and basically doing a lot of sacrifices of different things. Zeus Volchanos, with one exception, Greeks were unanimous in recognizing the birthplace of Zeus as Crete. Minoan culture contributed many essentials of ancient Greek religion. By 100 channels, the old civilization emptied itself into the new. Will Durant observed, and Cretan Zeus retained his youthful Minoan futures. The local child of the Great Mother, a small and inferior deity, took the roles of son and consort, whose Minoan name, the Greeks Hellenized as Volchanos, was in time assumed as an epithet by Zeus, as transpired at many other sites, and he came to be venerated in Crete as Zeus Volchanos, meaning boy Zeus, often simply about Karos. In Crete, Zeus was worshipped at a number of caves at Knossos, Ida, and Palakastro. In the Hellenistic period, a small sanctuary dedicated to Zeus Volchanos was founded at the Hagia Triada site of an earlier Minoan town. Broadly contemporary coins from Phaistos show the form under which he was worshipped. A youth sits among the branches of a tree with a cockerill on his knees. Now, in other Cretan coins, Belchanos is represented as an eagle and an association with the goddess celebrating a mystic marriage. Inscriptions at Gortin and Litos record a Belchania festival, showing that Belchanios was still widely venerated in Hellenistic Crete. Um, Now, the stories of Minos and Epimendius suggest that these caves were once used for incubatory divination by kings and priests. Um, the dramatic settling of Plato's laws is along the pilgrimage route to one such site, emphasizing archaic Cretan knowledge. Sorry. On Crete, Zeus was represented in art as a long-haired youth, rather than a mature adult, and hymned as Homegus Curus, meaning the great youth. Now, Ivory states of the Divine Boy were unearthed near the labyrinth at Knossos by Sir Arthur Evans. Now, with the Carets, a band of ecstatic armed dancers, he presided over the rigorous military athletic training and secret rite of the Cretan Now, the myth of the death of Cretan Zeus, localized in numerous mountain sites, though only mentioned in a comparatively late source, Callimachus, together with the assertion of Antonius that a fire shone forth annually from the birth cave the infant shared with a mythic swarm of bees. And it suggests that Belchanos had been an annual vegetative spirit. Now, the Hellenistic writer Hermerus apparently proposed a theory that Zeus had actually been a great king of Crete, and that posthumously his glory had slowly turned him into a deity, and the works of Hermerus himself had not survived, but Christian patristic writers took up that suggestion. Now here's a coin. This is a laurel wreath head of Zeus on a gold stater, lamps of cusp. Now this is dated back to 360 to 340 BC, which means before Christ. Now who knows if that thing even still exists. Now this epithet Zeus Lachaos means wolf Zeus, is assumed by Zeus only in connection with the archaic festival of the Lachaea on the slopes of Mount Lycaon, which is Wolf Mountain, the tallest peak in rustic Arcadia. Zeus had only a formal connection, but with the rituals and the myths of this primitive rite of passage with an ancient threat of cannibalism and the possibility of a werewolf transformation, for the Epibes, who were the participants, near the ancient ash heap where the sacrifices took place, was a forbidden precinct in which allegedly no shadows were ever cast. According to Plato, a particular clan would gather on the mountain to make a sacrifice every 9 years to Zeus, and a single morsel of human entrails would be intermingled with the animals. Whoever ate the human flesh was said to turn into a werewolf, and could only regain human form if he did not eat again of human flesh until the next 9 year cycle had ended. And there were games associated with the Lachaea, and they were moved in the 4th century to the first urbanization of Arcadia, Megalopolis. There, the major temple was dedicated to Zeus. Now there is, however, a crucial detail that the chaos may derive from Proto-Greek. It's called Aken, a noun that's still a noun still tested in compounds such as twilight or akabak, meaning year, are also lit or light's course, etc. Now, this this cook argues, um, and it brings in and indeed much new light to the matter of as Achaeus, the contemporary tragedian of Sophocles, and spoke of Zeus Lycaos as a starry-eyed, and this Zeus Lycaos may just be the Arcadian Zeus, son of Aether, described by Cicero. Um, Again, under this new signification, it may be seen by Placinian's descriptions of Leucosora being the first city that ever the sun beheld, and of the altar of Zeus at the summit of Mount Lycaon. Now before which stood two columns bearing the gilded eagles and facing the sunrise. Further, Cook sees only the tail of Zeus's sacred precinct and Mount Lycaon, allowing no shadows, referring to Zeus as god of light. Now, in this picture right here is a statue of Zeus in drawing only. So basically, somebody drew that picture, Zeus sitting on his throne. Now, there's additional cults when it comes to Zeus. Oh shit, not too far down. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now, when it comes to etymology, the etymology indicates that Zeus was originally a sky god, and many Greek cities honored a local Zeus who lived underground. Athenians and Sicilians honored Zeus, kindly or honeyed him, or while other cities had earthly, and others had under the earth and wealth bringing. These deities might be represented as snakes or in human form in visual art, or for emphasis as both together in one image. They also received offerings of many black animal victims sacrificed into sunken pits, as did other deities like Persephone and they had other deities like Persephone and Demeter, and also the heroes at their tombs. Olympian gods, by contrast, usually received white victims sacrificed upon raised altars. Now, in some cases, cities were not entirely sure whether the daemon to whom they sacrificed was a hero or an underground Zeus. Now, thus, the shrine at Leba Dea and Boeotoia, not sure if I'm saying that right, might belong to the hero Trophonius, or to Zeus, the nurturing, or to Zeus the nurturing, or Zeus Trophonius, meaning nurturing, depending on whether you believe Pausanias or Strabo. The hero Amphiaraus was honored to Zeus Amphiaraus at Oropus outside of Thebes, and the Spartans even had a shrine to Zeus Agamemnon. Now, ancient Molossian kings sacrificed to Zeus Arius. Strabo mentions that at Tralles there was a Zeus Laricius. And in Ithium they honored Zeus Ithamatus, and they had a sanctuary and a statue of Zeus, and they also had an annual festival in honor of Zeus, which was called the Ithioma. And Heka Tumophania, it means meaning killing of 100, from 100, and to kill. It's a custom of Messenians, at which they offered sacrifice to Zeus when any of them had killed 100 enemies. Aristomenes have offered 3 times this sacrifice at the Messenian wars against Sparta. non-Panhellenic cults. In addition to the Panhellenic titles and conceptions listed above, local cults maintained their own idiosyncratic ideas about the king of gods and men. With the epithet Zeus Aeneas, he was worshipped on Mount Etna, where there was a statue of him, and a local festival called the Etnia in his honor. Other examples are listed below as Zeus Aeneos or Zeus Aeneas. He was worshipped in the island of Cephalonia, where he had a temple on Mount Aeneos. Oracles. Although most oracle sites were usually dedicated to Apollo, the heroes of various goddesses like Themis, a few oracle sites were dedicated to Zeus. In addition, some foreign oracles, such as Baals at Heliopolis, were associated with Zeus in Greek or Jupiter in Latin. The oracle at Dodona, the cult of Zeus at Dodona, and Epirus, where there is evidence of religious activity from the second millennium BC and onward, centered on a sacred oak. When the Odyssey was composed, which was around 750 BC, divination was done there by barefoot priests called Soloi, that were called Soloi, and they laid on the ground and observed the rustling of the leaves and branches. And by the time Herodotus wrote about Dodona, a female priestess called Paleodes, meaning doves, had replaced the male priest. Now Zeus's consort at Dodona was not Hera, but the goddess Dion, whose name is a feminine form of Zeus. Her status as a titaness suggests to some that she may have been a more powerful pre-Hellenic deity and perhaps the original occupant of the oracle. Now the oracle of Ammon at the Siwa oasis in the western desert of Egypt did not lie with the bounds of the Greek world before Alexander's day, meaning Alexander the Great. But it's already loomed large in the Greek mind during the archaic era. Herodotus mentions constellations with Zeus Ammon in this account of the Persian War. Now Zeus Ammon was especially favorite at Sparta, where a temple to him existed by the time of the Peloponnesian War. Now I don't know a lot of these wars, but I might do a lot of videos on these too. After Alexander made a trek into the desert to consult the oracle at Siwa, the figure rose in the Hellenistic imagination of a Libyan Sibyl. Now here's other stuff when it comes to Zeus. You got Indo-Greek coins at the top here. You got one here, going from left to right. Evolution of Zeus, Nicephorus, Nicephorus, Zeus holding Nike on an Indo-Greek coinage. I don't know which ones they are, but you got the Wheel of Law, a baby elephant in one of them. I can't really tell. But Zeus was identified with the Roman god Jupiter and associated in the syncretic classical imagination. See, you could also see the interpretation, if you want to, with various other deities, such as the Egyptian Ammon and the Etruscan Tinia. He, along with Dionysus, absorbed the role of the chief, the Phrygian god Sabazios, and the syncretic deity known as Rome as Sabazios. This ruler Seleucid ruler Antiochus erected a statue of Zeus Olympios in the Judean temple in Jerusalem. Hellenizing Jews referred to the statue as Baal Shalman, in English, Lord of Heaven. Zeus is also identified with the Hindu deity Indra. Not only they are the king of gods, but their weapon, thunder, is similar. Here's a statue of Zeus. Um, and this is in Greco Buddhist art. That right there. Now, in Helios, Zeus is occasionally completed with the Hellenic sun god Helios, who is sometimes either directly referred to as Zeus's eye, or clearly implied as such. Hesiod, for instance, describes Zeus's eye as effectively the sun. Now, this perception is possibly derived from earlier Proto-Indo-European religion, in which the sun is occasionally envisioned as the eye of Daius. Now, Euripides, in his now lost tragedy Messians, describes Zeus as the sun-eyed. And Helios is said elsewhere to be the brilliant eye of Zeus and the giver of life. And another of Euripides' tragedies, Medea, the chorus refers to Helios as light born from Zeus. Now, although the connection of Helios to Zeus does not seem to have basis in early Greek cults and writings, but nevertheless, there are many examples of direct identification in later times. Now, the Hellenistic period gave birth to Serapis, a Greco-Egyptian deity conceived as an avatar of Zeus. Whose solar nature is indicated by the sun crown and rays that the Greeks depicted him with. Although frequent joint dedications to Zeus, Serapis, and Helios have been found over the Mediterranean, for example, the Anastasia, the papyrus, now housed in the British Museum, equates Helios not just to Zeus and Serapis, but also Mithras, and a series of inscriptions from Trachonitis gives evidence of the cult of Zeus, the conquered sun, of the unconquered sun. Now, there is evidence of Zeus being worshipped as a solar god in the Aegean island of Amorgus, based on a Lacanus inscription. Zeus is the sun, meaning sun elements of Zeus's worship, could only be as early as the 5th century BC. But the Cretan Zeus Teleos had solar elements to his cult, and Talos was the local equivalent of Helios. You also have later representations. In Neoplatonism, Zeus's relation to the gods that are familiar from mythology is taught as the divine mind, especially with Platonius's work, the Aeneids, and the Platonic theology of Proclus. Now, Zeus is mentioned in the New Testament twice. He's first mentioned in Acts 14:8 through 13. When the people living in Lystra saw the apostle Paul heal a lame man, they considered Paul and his partner Barnabas to be gods, identifying Paul with Hermes and Barnabas with Zeus, even trying to offer them sacrifices with the crowd. Two ancient inscriptions discovered in 1909 near Lystra testify to the worship of these two gods in that city. One of the inscriptions refers to the priestess of Zeus, and the other mentions Hermes, most great, and Zeus, the sun god. The second occurrence is in Acts 28:11, the name of the ship in which the prisoner Paul set sail from the island of Malta bore the figurehead sons of Zeus, also known as Castor and Pollux. The Deuteronomy book the Deuterocanonical book of 2 Maccabees 6:1 6-1 and 2 talks of King Antiochus, who in his attempt to stamp out the Jewish religion directed that the temple of Jerusalem be profaned and rededicated to Zeus, the Jupiter Olympius. And that is the end. But there is something here. Maybe I'll look at this. There's a gallery here when it comes to the abduction of Europa. Olympian assembly from left to right. It's supposed to be Apollo, Zeus, and Hera. The only way to see this would be to blow up the picture. Let me see. And then you got the Golden Man Zeus statue, enthroned Zeus, Greek, 100 BC, modeled after the Olympian Zeus by, and then Zeus and Hera right here. And then there's supposed to be one of Zeus and Poseidon here. But if we go back up to the top, let me go see. I want to see if I can actually... Okay, here. Now here's an actual statue of Zeus holding his scepter. Now, Zeus is the king of the gods. He's the god of the sky, thunder and lightning, and law and order. And he's a member of the 12 Olympians because there's supposed to be 12 gods. I cannot name them all, so don't ask me until I find all their names. Now this statue is actually in Smyrna. His house is in Mount Olympus, but like I said, he's got his symbols are thunderbolt, eagle, bull, and oak. His parents are Cronus and Rhea, and then he's got siblings Hestia, Hades, Hera, Poseidon, and Demeter. His consort was Hera and various others. And that is about it there. So we're done with that one. But I'll probably get to Poseidon next week. So that's pretty much the end. I'm gonna go back to watching the Fear of the Walking Dead show. One of my roommates jailbreaked my Fire Stick TV the other day, and he downloaded an app called HBO Box, and it's got everything on it. So I've been watching Fear of the Walking Dead, and all this other stuff. So I'm gonna go back to watching that. I just started season 3. I'm hoping to get to season 4 by Sunday or maybe by Monday. And then I can finish that series off and go to other ones and just keep watching whatever I can find. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Rusty the King. If you want to check out my other YouTube channel, RBW King, you're more than welcome to check it out. Feel free to like and subscribe at any time you want. Leave a comment and let me know what you guys are thinking. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube, and for just a little as a few bucks a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.